Hey there everybody, it's Verity here from inkbutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for a card making tutorial. Today we're going to be using this stamp set. Now this is labelled as Pretty Petals. It's actually called Blossom Builder. There's just a little typing error on the packaging on this one. This is a last chance stamp set, and I haven't used it a ton, but I thought I'd get it out today and really use it for what it's intended to build some blossoms. Okay, so that's what we're using today. Obviously there's no foliage and there's no sentiments here, so I'm going to pull out Leaf from Natural Botanicals, one of my favourite sets to use for that kind of thing, and then of course the very tried and tested Simply Said stamp set for the sentiments. Superb set to have in your arsenal. Covers a few different things in the different typefaces, so it's a really good set to have in your collection. Okay, so this is what we're making. Okay, so you get these lovely dimensional flowers by building up the petals there. I did that the center to it almost looks like a poppy, I would in a way, and just keeping it really simple and using one of the lovely Everyday Arches. I haven't pulled that out for you, but Everyday Arches is it's a really nice shape to use to frame up on your cards. Combinations of colours are Pool Party in the card base. I've used Flirty Flamingo for the petals and Garden Green for the leaves. Okay, so as always I like to mix it up and give you some different options. So we're going to switch out for a the grey granite card base. I've already cut the arch, so I chose this size, which gave you a nice border around it, and it's sort of nicely shaped the flower. And I've got a couple of little scraps, a little scrap of early espresso, and I've got a little scrap of basic white or white willow. Might be basic white actually, for the sentiments. Okay, so got a few bits and pieces ready to go. So on this particular bloom I used this stamp. So the images on the front are quite a bit smaller than the oh no, they're not, they're 100%. I thought they were smaller, but it looks bigger than it is. Yeah, okay. So you get these really, really lovely shaped petals. So that's how big it is. And I used 6 on this one to make up this bloom. Okay, but we're going to switch it out and we're going to use this one with the 3 sort of petals joined together there. Okay, and I've already stamped it a little bit and cut out some of these ready. So I've done 3 and I've stamped out another pair here. And I wasn't going for nice clean stamping. I just wanted it to you know, give that sort of mottled effect. This is actually crushed curry, and it's actually 2nd generation ink that I have used to stamp those out. So we're going to fussy cut these out with my stamping snips. Sadly these aren't available anymore. You need nice good sharp scissors for fussy cutting, so if you've got them, that's great, but yeah, you'll have to have a look and see if you can source some nice sharp scissors. Not all of them are made the same, so these ones were particularly good because they cut all the way to the very, very tip. And I'm leaving that little bit of white at the bottom just to help with getting things stuck down. So we'll just fussy cut these out and say I've got 5 of these in total, because it was a fuller set of petals. I've just gone with 5. Okay, but of course you can do more if you wish. Well, we'll see how it looks when we try and build it together. Anyway, I think that's all be enough. So that's what we've got thus far. And the other thing I like to do to give this a bit more of a realistic look is use like a ball tool or something, or something with a rounded end. Could be the end of a ballpoint pen, something like that, and give it some shape onto the front, and then if you press it in again, you'll get these nice sort of cupped sort of shapes, and it just gives it a bit more shape and natural form that you would expect from petals. So just rubbing along the back of those from the end towards the centre gives you this sort of cup, and then if you just sort of press it in towards the centre on the other side, it sort of flattens that out for gluing out. So we've got 5 of them now, okay, but we also need some leaves, so we'll use the same leaf excuse me, and we're going to use Old Olive. So we're going for a much more sort of muted palette, if you like. I love this leaf, it's really nice. So we go with Old Olive, and I'm going to use a bit of Wink of Stella and go over that for 2 reasons. It will add some sparkle, a very subtle sparkle, and hopefully you can see that that has actually pulled, it's a water-based product, so it's pulled some of the ink through and sort of coloured it a little bit, so it's not so stark white. You would get a similar effect with a blender pen as well, so you could use one of those. This just sort of gives you enough colour, in my opinion, just to make that look sweet. So, and again, we will have to fussy cut these out. There are no dies for these, but these aren't too bad to fussy cut. You can go in and out a bit if you want to, but I don't think it's particularly necessary. You just sort of follow it around. And I'm not going to worry about going right into the middle of that either. I'm just going to go around the main shape. Okay, so it's not too bad. To cut, and again, I'm not going to worry too much about making this base bit too neat and tidy. We're not going to see it, it's going to be tucked away underneath all the petals that we're going to add. So just quickly do the other one. I hope everyone's new year has started off okay. I'm not really one for making any New Year resolutions, but if you've made some, hopefully you're off to a good start. So I think this video will be going out on Tuesday the 6th. So that for me is the day when all the decorations have to come down. Just a sort of superstition stroke tradition, I guess. It was always the 6th of January. That was the day that things had to come down. Not any sooner or not any later. So we'll be doing that, packing everything away. Sort of sad, isn't it, when it all comes to an end? But it wouldn't be special if it was there all the time, would it? Okay, so in terms of building our flower, what I've done is I've just punched out a circle. This just so happens to be the 1 3/4 inch one. I don't think it doesn't matter what the size of your circle is, so long as it's sufficient to build up your blossom and not be seen once you've built it all together, really. So I'm going to use wet glue, which will help. Well, one, it's very strong, so I'm just going to put like a circular blob in there. But it will also give us that wriggle room as well. And I've actually just put a couple of marks on there just to help me sort of eyeball the spacing a little bit. But I don't think you know, if it's not even, it's not going to matter. Nature itself isn't always perfect, so, well, in fact it isn't, is it? It's very natural, so you can just build that together, and it can look a bit odd until you kind of put the finishing touches on, and then you add the center, but it's all going to look grand in the end. Okay, so that's going to end up with a really nice full flower, I think. Come on, move that one up a little bit. So you just sort of eyeball it and just see whether you want to move anything around, really. Okay, and you might want to sort of, you know how you box fold and you have one side under and one side under? You might want to do something like that. So maybe, you know, pop that one behind that one, but in front of this one, you know, and mess about with it and do something with your layout if you wanted to. But all completely up to you how you want to sort of pull this together. And any glue that's sort of ended up in a place where it shouldn't will dry clear anyway. But it's really fast grab, that's already reasonably stable. But we're just going to leave that just to dry for a little bit off to one side, and we're going to have to stamp the centre. So we've got that little stamp there, and we're going to use Early Espresso for this one. So again, we'll just get that stamped. Very solid, very dark, almost looks black, but when you see it in real life, it's definitely not black. And again, we'll have to just fussy cut this out as well. Doesn't take long to do. I mean, this is the kind of set that isn't going to be for everyone. But you can certainly create something really nice with these. Well, at least I think you can. It takes me back to days when I was a kid. I remember having this kit, not dissimilar to the bouquet kit that that might still be available on Last Chance. I think it's reduced as well. Where you make those 3D flowers, paper flowers, and you used to make them out of tissue paper. You have these paper templates and you cut out all your petals, and because it was like tissue paper, you could do several at once and then wrap them around pipe cleaners. Had those for a long time. Sat in a vase. So yeah, so I like this kind of thing. It really feels like you've definitely made something. Do you know what I mean? It's all been crafted. Okay, now obviously that can be shaped if you want it to be, but what we're just going to do, we're just going to add that to the centre of this to cover up all that gubbins in the middle. We'll just add that there and just sort of hold that down a little bit, and then if you need your hands back, if you pop a block on there, it's enough just to hold it in place while that glue sets for a little bit. And we'll just pop together some of our bits and pieces. Actually, let's stamp our sentiment. We're going to use the we're going to use crushed curry. That's what we're going to use. We're going to use crushed curry. So if I use my sample, oh, actually no, not the sentiment on this one has actually been stamped in the ink of the card base. So let's pull out some grey granite ink. Let's do that. And we've got our happy birthday here. be anything, of course. And we'll stamp that down. Hopefully in the middle of this strip. That will do. This is approximately 1/2 inch wide. Just a scrap I had. Let's have a look. Probably a bit more than 1/2 inch, only a snapful. So that would probably do, and we'll cut it down. I'm just eyeballing it. This is not a measurement at all. Just gonna cut it to whatever that is. So let's see. It's ended up 2 3/4 inches wide, or long I should say. Alright, and for this little accent strip that I've put behind the sentiment on this, I coordinated that with the centre, so this is black. So I'm going to use an early espresso strip on this bit. So it's what's it got? It's about 1/4 inch longer at each end. So just take a little bit of that off. Just using that little trimmer. Just it's just nice to pull onto the desk so that I can just quickly do some trimming on with you guys. And we're just going to cut those at a slight angle. Again, nothing precise about it, just eyeballing it. Get rid of those. I'll just add our little greeting over the top. Just centre that somewhere around there. That'll do. And we'll need some dimensionals on the back of that. There we go. Right, so that's ready. So let's go back to this. We'll have some adhesive on this, so we'll just use the Stampin' Seal on this bit and add it to the centre of our card base. So the top and bottom probably isn't as critical, but if you get your left and right margins as even as you can, that's what will make it look like it's in the right place, if you know what I mean. That looks okay. There we go. Right, so that's our card base, and then here's our lovely huge flower that we can pop on. So you can bend this and shape it a bit more if you want to. Okay, so you can really sort of manipulate that and make it do what you need it to do. And then we can add it onto the card base. I'm going to make sure there's room for the sentiment at the bottom. This one's a bit bigger, so we'll make sure that that's where it needs to be. And again, this circle on the back is going to help because it's nice and flat, which means we can get that stuck down where we want it. And again, just a bit of pressure on there, and that should stick just fine. I'm going to pop the sentiment on first and then find the position where the leaves are going to fit. So let's just pop this along the bottom here, just lining it up with that bit at the bottom, and then you've got these lovely little accent pieces. And then we'll just use a little wet glue on the bottom of these leaves. Again, you could add some shape to these if you wanted to, but I think it's got enough going on without having to worry about that. And then you can just sort of tuck this in underneath there. And don't worry, any excess glue will dry clear. Okay, I think we can tuck this in up here. Just press that down. Okay, obviously everything will need to set a little bit, but there we go, that's the bones of it. So the embellishments I used were these Pearls of Beauty. These are a newer set from some online exclusives, I think. There might even be, yeah, it's got a blue dot on it. It must be an online exclusive. Okay, so we'll just add some of those on. I think I might go with these ones, which sort of look like crumb cake. I think the white ones might get a bit lost. I think these ones are probably closer to Calypso Coral than anything. Doesn't actually specifically say on the packaging, but that's fine. You can make them work with whatever you are doing. So we'll pop these in place. I feel like we've got some space, if you know what I mean, just to sort of fill up. I'm wondering actually whether I should have put that the other side, so let's just put that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, maybe it should have been. Let's just going to reposition that one so it's up here, just to fill in that little space there. Okay, right, there we go. Completely different, right, to the sample card. Just with those colour choices, it just makes it, just tones it all down completely, right? And then you get something that's much brighter, all with the same set, just using different colours. Okay, so I think that's a cute set to use if you're into really kind of building something organic that you've created yourself. So so look out for that. That's set on Last Chance now, so worth having a look at it, and you might even get some reductions in those Last Chance categories as well. It's worth checking it out every now and again just to see what's been added. Right, that's it from me for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye bye.